Hello and welcome to my channel. This is Lisa with Lisa's Faith and Budget Planning channel. I'm excited to be here. I have April budget sheets listed in my shop. My shop is in Etsy. It's Lisa's Faith Budget Plan. I'm so excited to show you these because, you know, April will be here before we know it, and we still have to budget month to month. And I want to get these up early enough that you can get them now because they're downloadable printables. They're PDFs, very simple, but they have a decorative decor at the top, and then, you know, the budgeting down the bottom with a little bit of color every once in a while. And I think it makes budgeting fun. I think it makes it attractive and pleasing to the eye to come back to. It's not as painful to deal with sometimes, and I absolutely love it. So here's my April budget sheets. This is the April Sunday start calendar before I start moving, sorry. Sunday to Saturday, and it's already dated and things like that. Now, if you want a Monday start calendar, or if you just want a blank calendar that just says April at the top and no date or the date, whatever, and you want to date your own, let me know. I could always do something like that. But just email me through Etsy. I can make changes like that very easily. But these are really, really cute. I love the butterflies. How pretty is that? And I thought that was perfect for the month of April. It's Easter. It gets warmer and it's sunnier, and hopefully it'll lift our spirits up and everything for the Easter season. And I just absolutely thought this was perfect for Easter. So I loved how it turned out and excited to share this with you guys. So here we go. There's the monthly calendar. I actually print 3 of these. I print one for my monthly bills. I print one for my weekly check-in, where I put my labels down or my stickers down with the expense stickers for everything that I purchase and what day I purchased it. And I keep notes in the corner, things like that. And I also print this for my content, where I lay out where the paydays are, where my weekly check-ins are going to be, which are pretty regular. I do them Friday. I post videos on Friday or Saturday, depending on how busy I get, for my weekly check-in. And then my paycheck to paycheck goes Saturday or Sunday. And then sometimes in the middle of the week or the middle of the month, I will do another check-in, things like that. And every dollar is also something I do. I post videos on every dollar and how I use that app along with my paper budgeting. So I map that out here too. End of the month, and it just never ends, but I absolutely love doing all these videos. So here's my April calendar. I'm so excited. Now every page will have the same header. I do one, what I call washi header across the top, and they'll all be the same, but they'll be labeled a little bit different. So this is what I call April butterflies in my shop, and this is a budget sheet for variable and fixed expenses. You got 10 variable, 10 fixed for income, and you can map out your month here on this listing. This is a single listing by itself, and everything I show you on camera, if I put all the paper there, 1 sheet, 2 sheets, that's a single listing all on its own, and you can buy them individually. I don't sell them in bulk, but because nobody really purchases them that way. They want specific sheets, and I absolutely love that. So I sell them individually, and I try every other month or so to do a sale. I definitely would be doing one in April, and I will do one in March. I just haven't picked the dates yet, so I will keep you up to date on that. But these budget sheets are amazing because they just keep you so organized, and they look so pretty. And what I used for a highlighted colors, just to give pop of color throughout the budget sheet, is this light purple. It seems so delicate, and I love it. Now, when you print your budget sheets, it depends on what kind of paper you use, and it depends on what your ink and all that, the quality of the printer. But if you have a decent printer and paper, you should have great looking sheets, and I absolutely love that. So my sheet, what you see here and what I use every time, is 28 or 29 pound paper. It's like a next step up from copy paper, basically. And I can get it at Walmart, I can get it at any office supply, Amazon, whatever. And that's where I get my paper. And when you do that and you print front and back, it doesn't bleed through. Regular copy paper is thinner, it's almost translucent. You might have a little difficulty front and back, but if you're just doing one side like I do, then that's perfectly fine. So here we go. I am in love with these. I don't do variable and fixed expenses, but this is this page, the first page I showed you, is for if you don't have a lot and you have 10 variable, 10 fixed, and you can fit it all on here for your monthly view. If you have a lot that comes up and you need extra room, I have 20 variable, 20 fixed, and then some notes lines here at the bottom, and 6 income, so if you have multiple income streams. And this seems to work out pretty well if you have more. And I do like that. And I actually do use a 2-page budget sheet. And this is just for the monthly overview, which a monthly overview is very important because when you plan out your month, all the income, all the expenses, then you can get an idea, do I have enough money for the month coming in to cover what I want to cover and need to cover on the way out? So here's just my simple income, bills, and expenses. If you don't separate and you just kind of list them, however, you don't care if they fluctuate because I accommodate for that here. You have your budgeted amount and then your actual, and that could be over and under. So really you don't have to do variable and fixed unless that's how your mind works and that's what you've been doing a long time. I just offer them because that's what a lot of people like. I personally like this, but I use a 2-page sheet, which I'll show you in a minute. But this is a single listing by itself. You have 20 lines for bills and expenses. I usually start off with all the bills that I have, what I have to pay, my spending category, and then if I have to spend out what's left over for the month, I mark it here in the last few lines, and that allows me to reduce what I have in my account and keep an accurate balance with my checking account. This is what I use to plan my days with. I will open up my budget and go, I have this amount in my spending categories, and I know in my mind I have to stay within that for my spending categories. And I even take it a step further, not just for the month, but I know how much I have paycheck to paycheck, and I know how much I need to have, or I do have available week to week. And that's an important thing to remember. You want to work with actual cash that you actually have in the bank account. It's great to plan for the month, and you need to plan for the month, but it's even better to narrow it down for the time period that you have the cash. And that's what I do with my other sheets. So here's my bills and expenses income, and this is the newest thing on my sheets. I add bills and expenses. I was thinking one day, people may not recognize that's what I mean for this sheet. Because they're used to seeing bills there or the word bills there. And so I decided to put bills and expenses so that, you know, people understand they can use this for the month, and they put everything on here. I had a question about that, so I went ahead and put that on there. And then I have a 2-page income, bills, and expenses sheet. And this turned out so nice. I love how it looks. This is the sheet I'm actually going to use. So I can't wait to get into this. And what I typically do is glue them behind. So you would see my calendar for my month view. And the next thing you would see is the budget sheet. So it would look like this. I would have this, and then this, not this page, this page. This page would be glued to the back. Oops. So I use these actual sheets that you see on this film. And then budget, and then I flip it, and then that starts my paycheck to paycheck. So that's how I set up my budget planner. I've never really explained that before, but hopefully you understood that. But I'll be using this in my budget planner coming up very soon. Okay, so yeah, you get all 3 of these PDFs, or not 3, I saw the number 3, all 5 PDFs for your printable in the shop, and it's one price, and it's relatively inexpensive. I think it's really beautiful and great way to track what you actually have paycheck to paycheck, whether you get paid weekly, bi-weekly, things like that. But for right now, I have just paycheck 1 through 5, and you can use them. I actually use paycheck 1 through 3, and then 4 and 5 I just kind of use as mocks before my videos, and just I scribble all over it and make it messy, and then I use it for these videos when I do paycheck 1, 2, and 3. So that's how I make sure I use all my printables. But yeah, that might be something I need to do in the future. So let me know what you think. But man, Easter is going to be awesome. This looks awesome. They're just beautiful. I love how they turned out. So this is one listing by itself. Next listing I have, single listing by itself, is transaction log. So I've started something new, and I've done it in March. I'm doing it here in April. I used to do transaction log by itself and then do 7 sheets of transaction logs as a group, but I decided to separate them. So you can buy the ones you actually want and not have too many budget sheets that you don't want. So transaction log by itself, you can use this with your savings tracker or your sinking funds tracker or whatever you need transaction log for, because you can list the date, the amount, the description, and the balance here, and just keep a log of things. And then you can use the highlighter method to tell you what item goes to what category, that kind of thing. So that's what that transaction log is for. But it's the same as far as this part down here. I just labeled it differently. Grocery category. So if you just categorize your groceries by themselves, not household and groceries, just groceries, I have this available, and you can create a spending category. I put the beginning date of whatever pay period I'm in. So if it's the first of the month when my husband gets paid, I go the first, and then the amount, I start with 0 because I'm beginning a new month, and then description, my budget dates. So if it's 1st through the 10th or 1st through the 5th or whatever, I write that there, and I know that's how many days I have covered, and I begin my balance, and I'll put like $300 or whatever I budgeted for this grocery spending category. And every time I go to the grocery store, I deduct from that, and then I fill it back up, and then I deduct again. So that's kind of how I work it. I'll actually show my March one here in my notebook to give you a comparison. It won't say grocery, it'll say grocery household. Let's see. There we go. So this is how I do it. I have groceries. And so I started mine on the 26th because that's when my husband got paid in February for the new month. And I budgeted 26th through the 4th, and then I give myself a balance of $300. And I went to Food Line for $61.13, and then I reduced it down. And then my husband got paid again on the 5th. So I took what was left over, I added it to a new budget amount, and this gives me actual cash in my bank to cover what I'm spending. Now, when I do this, this is kind of like a cash envelope without using actual cash. I just keep a log of it. So that's how I run my grocery household. And I buy grocery household together, which is why the budget sheet says that. And I do have one of those listings for if you're interested. But this one's just grocery. This one's just household. Same thing, just different title. And these are individual listings. This one I definitely use, grocery household. And then I use restaurants. I'm just going to stack them on top because these are the ones I'm actually going to use in my budget planner for my next set of videos. I write down what restaurants we go to and how much we have in the bank and subtract from there. Miscellaneous. And I also track gasoline. And that is not from this little dot right here. I don't know if you can see that really well, but that's my printer. That's not in the PDF. So ignore that. But yeah, these are the ones I use, I track, and I keep up with. I'm really hoping, well, I don't have to want to hope for spending more on gas, but I do hope we get to travel more, and I see this fill up a little bit more, like about this much, not this much. So there's that. The next thing you'll see, and this is a listing by itself, is my weekly check-in. And I love the weekly check-in. I am new to the weekly check-in, but once I created a budget sheet to do the weekly check-in and started doing it myself back in the fall of last year, I just fell in love with it because it really taught me a lot about myself. I typically write over here if it's going to be a 4-week or 5-week for the month. I know the month of March is going, for me, the way my budget flows is the 5-week, but I haven't checked and see what April's going to look like. And then I budget week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, and if I have a week 5, of what I'm going to do in my spending categories, but every month I have a set amount that I keep track of, and I don't want to go over my grocery household, which is currently $1,200. And it sounds a lot, but we put HelloFresh in our grocery household, and I had to increase it while I'm still using HelloFresh. Normally it's $1,000 for the entire month, and that is all food and all cleaning supplies, all toiletries, all bathroom stuff and paper products and everything. I put it all in one because I'm the only one that shops, and that's why I do grocery household. So I leave that number kind of high. If I had divided it out, it'd probably be 600 groceries and 400 in cleaning supplies and other things. You know, if you can get it at the grocery store, you know, you can get it at the grocery store. I'm going to put it in that category. Then restaurants, I would break that out. $6.50 for the month is what we average. And so I just divided by 4 or 5, and that's how I set my budget. And I try to stay with it in that week. Miscellaneous is just random stuff. If we had to buy clothes or shoes or purchases on Amazon or online purchases and things like that, I budget for that. We do $5.50, though we haven't been doing that a lot lately. I think we're really fine-tuning our budget and really, you know, saving in those areas, but I still keep the budget that high in case we need to. And then I just put in savings at the end of the month. And then gasoline. I just make sure we have the same amount every month and the same amount we were spending previously before COVID hit. That way when things start slowly open up and we travel more and go into our offices and work, and my husband goes to work more instead of working from home, then yeah, we will have that money available. Right now, I just use it kind of as a buffer in my spending categories when I go over. So that is that weekly check-in. It's very easy. I love how it turned out. The colors are beautiful. And yeah, that is just really cool. So let's see. They're printed on 8.5 by 11 sheets. If you want them smaller, it is, there is a way in most printers and computers you can change the settings on how you print them and trim them down the way you want. So you would just shrink them down. So next I have the debt tracker. And the debt tracker is awesome. If you have debts, you can list your debts in a row, your starting balance, how much you paid, the interest you have, and the ending balance. And then that will be for this month. And if you have several, I have plenty of lines for several. If you only have a few, that's fine too. And then what your ending balance will be your new beginning balance. And I also came up with a second type of debt tracker that might interest you even more, other than just straight lines and things like that. I recently put in my shop. I do have this in the March clovers. I didn't put it in a video or announcement, but I just kind of popped it in the shop, and hopefully you guys will notice. But I have this for March, and I also have this for April, and going forward I want to keep this in the shop as long as people like it. And basically it's 8 boxes for your debt. So you just write down the name of the debt. So if, like we do have a credit card. We do use it only if we have the cash to pay it. So debt, I would say Navy Federal Visa card, starting balance. Say like right now I had to buy a stove. So let's say $870. Minimum payment, whatever the bank says the minimum payment is, the amount that you paid. So you would take the amount that you paid, the interest charged, and then your ending balance. So you know for the debt of March what you did. And then you can go and print, or the end of April, this is an April sheet. In April, you can print the next month's, and then you can transfer the numbers. Your ending balance will be your new starting balance, and then you can just keep track. And you have 8 different debts you can put on this sheet. And I absolutely thought that was a great idea, just to kind of have compartmentalized debt instead of just a list straight down. This actually might help someone better than just kind of listing it across. That might be visually intimidating or uncomfortable, but breaking it down where this is just dedicated to that section might help someone even more. So just sometimes the way we break it down or way we list it and have it compartmentalized helps our brain to focus on just what we need for our debts and for our expenses. So I really liked how this turned out. I hope you like it too. Hopefully it's something you're interested in. If you're working on a debt payoff journey, this could help you visually see where you're at. So there is that. And let's see, what else do I have? I will be right back. Okay, I am back. Sorry I dropped off for a minute. I realized some mistakes I had in some of my listings, so I went ahead, corrected them immediately, and fixed them in the shop before I upload this video and reprinted them. So the last 2 I had that gave me some trouble. was my savings tracker and my sinking funds. The last two budget sheets I have in my shop. I'm going to start with savings tracker. What I had accidentally done was put sinking funds here at the top, but the rest of this was the same. I just didn't realize which PDF I was in and put it in the wrong place. So I did fix it. It's in the shop. It's up correct, and no worries there. But here's the savings tracker. You have your date, the amount, the description, and the balance. And it's just a simple savings tracker. If you put money into a change jar or a cash envelope or something like that, and you have a bulk area that you do this in, then this is a great tracker for that, especially if you're putting in multiple times. If you work in restaurants and you get tips and you work for the entire month and you want to track what date you get tips and how much they are and what cash you have going for you, then this is a great place to do that. If you're doing a savings challenge and you kind of want to track it a certain way, this might help you with that. It's just something simple to track your savings in. I typically, when I do my savings tracker for my 3 to 6 month savings or anything that goes in my savings account, I kind of run it like a sinking fund because I compartmentalize things in my savings. So I use this, I just mark this out and call it category and write down the category and then use the amount and description. But from this going forward, I probably won't do the savings tracker anymore. I'll just call it a sinking fund. So all my savings will be just sinking funds, which is awesome as well because sinking funds are amazing. And I had a couple mistakes on this. Somehow this went from category to date, beginning how much you added, how much you subtracted, and then what the ending balance is. So whatever your ending balance is for the month of April, this will be your beginning balance for the month of May. My beginning balance for the month of April will be my ending balance at the end of March. And I haven't set up my sinking funds yet, but I actually don't make a deposit until the third paycheck of the month. I just do it towards the end of the month because that's where we have most of our disposable income. The first two paycheck periods are where most of our bills come out, and that's where I do pay and spend most of our money. At the end of the month, whatever's left over in that last check, that's what goes into savings. But sinking funds are amazing. They help you with annual expenses. They help you with subscriptions. They help you with budgeting and planning for clothes your family might need. I've seen many people with young children that have to buy clothes frequently because they outgrow them so fast. They'll have a child's name or their spouse's name or their name and how much money in the account and how much they've spent. I use mine in a savings account. Mine are for mostly annual expenses, once a year things, taxes, or like property tax for our vehicles or City of Chesapeake, which is where I live. Or I put in sinking funds for, like, this year my son will be a senior in high school starting September. So that's hard for me to say. I can't believe it. He's my youngest and he's a senior in high school this fall. So I wanted to have all the money I needed for his senior year in savings. So when things popped up like yearbooks, class rings, any graduation announcements, invitations, just the things you have for graduation. Yes, that's what I wanted the money for. So I'm saving up $1,200, $100 a month. Till then, I have a running long-term savings that's for cell phone and technology. So I can pay cash for cell phones, pay cash for laptops if we can't fit it in the budget. Just things that we're going to need in the future. So most of the time we can pay out of pocket with the money my husband's already making right now. But we do know in the future, at some point, when he no longer is doing the job he's doing now in a couple of years, he will like to work in the field that he's studying in with his master's degree program, which is forestry and fish and wildlife. So pretty sure those government jobs drop in pay. You won't get overtime and things like that, like we're used to getting. So I like having these funds so I can save up for those future things. House things, things we want to purchase for the house in the future. If you want to do lawn care, there's just so many ways you can use a sinking fund in order to save for something in the future. And these are short-term goals, not long-term goals. So if you're looking retirement and things like that, that's totally different. but these are just little sinking funds that you can put in one account as savings and just pull them out when you need them. Some people actually use a separate checking account to spend their spending and count this as a spending category for their things that they buy. If they have babies and they have to buy formula often, but they have to save up for it because formula can be expensive, or just things that they need, clothes and diapers and all that stuff. Sometimes they create sinking funds for that. So it's very flexible, very versatile, very simple, but this is a great tracker for that. You can print this sheet as many times as you want for what you need and have as many categories as you need, or as few categories. I actually only take up about that much when I fill mine out. It doesn't go all the way down. In fact, I don't even use this total bottom. I just make a total right here at the top, underneath everything. So, you know, like I said, it's flexible. You can do whatever you want. It's your sheet. So that is the sinking fund. So I hope you enjoyed this video and new releases. I hope you love the trackers and the new design for the month of April. It just reminded me of Easter and spring and warm weather, and it's just love the yellows and the greens and the purples, and I hope you like it too. If you did, please give this video a thumbs up, and I hope you have an amazing, blessed day, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.